Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Davidson Abishegam, and today our topic of conversation is going to be about time management. Now, I know it's a cliche, you've heard it a million times. It's mundane that everyone's got 24 hours in a day and all that. Now, I'm going to skip through all that today and go right into the where you should be in terms of time management and how you need to do it. Right? So I'm going to introduce to you today a matrix called the urgent important matrix. Now, you may have heard of it referred to as the time spent matrix. Now, this is basically a matrix that was developed by a former US president, the 34th US president. His name is Dwight Eisenhower. That's who he's called. And it was later popularized by Stephen Covey. Right, and it is basically a tool, a matrix that is being used all over the world, and it's very effective. It helps you get more productive. And today I'm just going to zoom right into this matrix to show you where you are. It's more of a self-realization or a self-actualization, if you will, to show you where you belong or where you are currently in this matrix and where you should aim to be. And hopefully using this tool, it's going to get you to become more productive with your time. And in order to be productive, you first need to know where you are. And that's basically what we're going to do with the tool today. And I'm going to introduce that tool to you shortly. Now, I'm going to pop this tool out on the screen right now. And you can see it's basically a matrix that has 4 quadrants. And I've named it quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to take you through the 4 quadrants and basically explaining to you what the quadrant is all about. The 2 axes that you see, you have the x-axis where you have urgent and not urgent, and on the y-axis we have important versus not important. So let's start with quadrant 1. Now essentially quadrant 1 is called, or better known as, urgent and important. So typically what happens in this quadrant are things that are urgent. They are basically deadlines, things that needs to be done right now. It is another better word we could use is crisis. Okay, so when you have issues or when you have problems or situations where it is a crisis and you need to look into it and handle it right now, then you are known to be in quadrant 1. Now, some examples. Now, for instance, you have an exam that's coming up tomorrow, and up to today, you have actually not prepared for it. You have not revised, you have not studied, you have not done any work on it. Now, and tomorrow's your exam, so obviously, when it comes today, you're gonna kind of panic, and you're gonna wonder, what do I need to do? And you're gonna start burning the midnight oil and revising your material for that exam tomorrow. So that is an example of you being in quadrant 1. Because now you can't put your time into anything else except revising for that test. So crisis situations, things that are deadline that you just need to do right now will be considered quadrant 1. Urgent, important. Now let's move on to quadrant 2. Now in quadrant 2, it's not urgent, but it's important. Right? So what is typically not urgent, but yet it is very, very important? Now, this would be the quadrant I'm going to spend time on for the rest of this video. Now, in this particular quadrant, you have to spend the most time on, because in this particular quadrant, quadrant 2, is where you look at your future. For example, if you were to now want to be a general manager in your organization, for instance, and you're currently a manager. So that's something for you to look ahead to. But what are you doing, right, to prepare yourself for that position? So in terms of attending courses or online courses or reading books or just finding out what are the skills that a general manager would need and how are you headed there? What are you doing to prepare yourself for that task or for that position? Now, this is where quadrant 2 comes into play. Quadrant 2 is where you spend your time building yourself up, building your career, building your future, building your family, basically things to do with security, things to do with even fun. We talk about work-life balance. So when it comes to life, You also want to have fun, take your family out for holidays, and all that needs to be planned. And that is where basically quadrant 2 comes into play. It is where you need to spend most of your time building up things for your future. Moving on to quadrant 3. Now, quadrant 3 is urgent but not important, right? But it is urgent. Now, what we do in quadrant 3 is basically our routines, right? Now, I believe we are all working, and we wake up in the morning and we spend the whole day, a whole weekday at work. And these are things we can't do without. So we have to go to work, or we have to go to college or university, and this time is already taken up as is. So basically, quadrant 3 is where we do our routine stuff, our work, things that our meetings, and things that you basically do on a daily basis. So you can't do without it, right? However, you need to also understand that a few things also happens in quadrant 3. Like you may have urgent meetings that comes up, maybe some traveling for work that comes up, and it's basically your daily operations. So all that happens in quadrant 3. Really nothing much you can do about quadrant 3. You just have to get by quadrant 3. Now, the fourth and the final quadrant, which is quadrant 4, is not urgent and not important. Now, what would be the tasks that you do or activities that you do that's both not urgent and at the same time not important? Now, for one, these are things that's trivia, things that are small or time wasters. Now, basically what happens with time wasters is you waste time. Things like playing games or unnecessary chatting, unnecessary web browsing that's not taking you anywhere, playing games and stuff like that is what's going to happen, is what happens in quadrant 4. And as you can see, while we might need some of these things in quadrant 4 sometimes, just to entertain yourself and to get out of the hectic work life, you need to be aware at the same time that quadrant 4 is a time waster, and it's not going to build your future, it's not going to build up your career, right? So being aware of which quadrant you are in today is going to help you with your productivity, it's going to help you with your efficiency, it's going to help you with your career, your life, your family, and your future, right? So which quadrant are you in today? Thanks for watching today's video on time management. I hope it was beneficial for you, and before you click on my Facebook page, I want to leave you with one important question. Which is the most important quadrant in your opinion? And what are you doing to get to that quadrant if you are not in that quadrant already? Type in your comments at the bottom and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and see you in my next video.